Welcome to the Covert Narcissism Podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. You've spent so much time thinking about them, what they did, why they did it, and how it broke you. Now it's time to focus on you. I want to personally invite you to join me for an in-person retreat, a healing retreat that is now about you. Join me for this weekend getaway of healing, clarity, and connection with others who have walked through this same fire. It's time to lay it down, to breathe again, and to feel safe in your own skin. We keep it small, just 12 women, so it stays intimate, powerful, and personal. Go to covertnarcissism.com/retreat to claim your spot. It's your time to heal. How do you raise emotionally healthy kids when you are dealing with emotional train wrecks within your home? Welcome back to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we shine a light on the hidden damage of covert narcissistic abuse, and more importantly, we talk about how to heal. Today, we are diving deep into this question. How do you raise emotionally healthy kids after narcissistic abuse? How do you break this generational cycle of manipulation, emotional neglect, and confusion? This episode is for every parent who has ever asked, how do I help my children have the relationships that I never got to have? So let's start here. You don't have to be a perfect parent. And thank God, because none of us are. You're going to mess up sometimes. You can't heal all of this for them, but you can lead them through it. Let's start here. You don't have to be a perfect parent. And thank God, because none of us are. I know I screwed up a whole lot of things. You're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to raise your voice. You're going to miss a signal. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to get short-tempered. It's all going to happen. But here's the difference. You can be aware. And that awareness, that desire to break this cycle is the cycle breaking. Because narcissistic parenting, it's rooted in denial, in deflection, in domination, in confusion. It's all rooted in this fake reality. So conscious parenting, the opposite of narcissistic parenting, is rooted in honesty, in vulnerability, in humility, in repair. Narcissistic parenting is grounded on this concept of perfectionism, having to be perfect, the perfect image, the perfect parent. Nothing I ever do is wrong. I'm always the best at everything. But conscious parenting, it is rooted in vulnerability. It's the opposite of trying to be that perfect parent. Drop this image of perfection. It is one of the best things you can do for your kids. Okay, instead, get really grounded in being genuine, being vulnerable, screwing some things up, making mistakes, and taking accountability. The very opposite of what the narcissistic parent is doing. So let's release the pressure to fix everything. You can't fix everything for your children. Instead, focus on modeling something new. And that's how we begin helping our kids through this complex mess of nature and nurture. So, what does that look like? Kids do not need you to explain covert narcissism to them in clinical terms. Okay, you don't need to do it. But they do need help naming their feelings. They do need help recognizing manipulation. They do need help in understanding why they feel the way they feel. They don't need the clinical terms. They don't need, covert narcissism and gaslighting and blame shifting and all the things we talk about, at least not until they're older. But they do need help in understanding their own worth, their own value. So here's what this sounds like. This is saying things to your kids like, hey, you seem really sad to me right now. Do you want to talk about it? Or do you want to just sit here and do something together? This is just being present to them, being there, acknowledging their feelings, validating their feelings, and being real for them. This is saying things like, hey, it's okay to be upset. Your feelings make sense to me. Or to say, when someone says something unkind and then says that you're too sensitive, that really hurts. It's not your fault, and it's okay that you're upset. Help your kids to understand that their feelings are valid responses, in fact, normal responses to bad behavior. Instead of labeling the bad behavior or focusing on the bad behavior, especially if your kids are young, just focus on their feelings and let them know that their feelings are normal, that these feelings make sense. When children grow up in homes where their reality is twisted, your validating words matter. Giving them clear and consistent language to understand how they're feeling helps them to kind of reclaim this internal compass that they have. Focus on what's going on inside of them. Many of us grew up in homes where emotions were either punished or ignored. So we either learned to shut down or we learned to explode. Okay. Your kids need emotional safety. This is something that many of us did not get. Your job now is not to teach your kids to be, perfectly regulated all the time. Emotional growth is not about being like all the time regulated or all the time in check and my emotions are under my control by, a whip, and I'm going to make sure that I never explode or I never feel hurt or I never voice frustration. That's not emotional maturity and emotional growth, and it's not realistic. Trying to do that only encourages your child to, teaches them that their feelings are not safe and encourages them to put a mask around it, which can become narcissistic in their future. Your job instead is to help them feel safe being human. Help them to recognize that their feelings are a part of who they are and that it's okay. Let them express anger without shaming them. It might come out clunky. They're children. And so when it comes out, it might come out a little uglier than they mean, or maybe a little uglier than you want. That's okay. Give them the safety to voice it. Allow sadness without rushing in to cheer them up. We don't want our kids to be sad, so we come rushing in to, here, let me buy you some ice cream, or let me make you laugh, and we'll play a game and I'll make you, feel happy again and put a smile on your face. No, let them just sit there with them with that sadness. Allow them the space to feel the sadness and then help them to find things that help them to feel better. Not you forcing it, but them acknowledging, hey, when I am sad, these are some things that help me feel better. That is giving them the tools for emotional resiliency and emotional growth. Model to them how to calm down instead of threatening or withdrawing love. Model to them when you get upset how to get your feelings back under control, how to help you to feel better. Model that to them. And when they get upset, don't withdraw your love from them. Don't threaten them or, I'm going to send you to your room if you can't get this under control. No, nurture them through these feelings. Emotional safety is the foundation of healthy adult relationships. Help your kids to learn what emotional safety is, what it means, and then they can learn how to give that in their future, how they can give emotional safety and receive emotional safety. When your kids know that they can come to you with their truth, then they won't feel the need to hide behind masks. They won't feel the need to manipulate in order to feel loved or valued or safe. Now let's talk about the $1,000,000 question. If narcissism is a mix of nature and nurture, and I talked about this in the last podcast, so if you missed that, go back and grab that episode. But if narcissism is a mix of nature and nurture, how do I parent in a way that protects my kids from developing narcissistic patterns? Especially when some of their traits might actually resemble the narcissistic parent, which I can tell you right now is a terrifying experience. This is a very valid fear that our kids will go forward and continue this generational cycle. Maybe you see your child struggling with entitlement or emotional reactivity or even control seeking behavior, and your heart drops because it reminds you of what you're fighting against. And you wonder, is this who they're becoming? Is it already too late to help them? Now, here's the truth. Narcissistic traits do not a narcissist make. Those traits are not their destiny. What matters is what gets nurtured in their world. So, how do we nurture emotional growth rather than narcissistic coping? Here's where your intentional parenting can make all the difference. So, I'm going to give you 4 ways here of things that you need to do. Number one, mirror, don't inflate. Here's what I mean by that: children need to be seen, not idolized. Narcissistic parents often give children a distorted reflection. They praise them only when they perform well, or they shame them when they fall short. Okay, they get this distorted reality here of you're only good or you're all good when you are performing well and when you're doing what I want and when you're fulfilling my needs, and you are bad when you're not. You are bad when you're doing something that isn't about me, or when your attention is, elsewhere, or when you are not living up to my image of you. This is narcissistic parenting. Instead, be a clear and honest mirror to your kids. You can tell them things like, I love the way you kept trying, even when it was hard. You can support them when their feelings are hurt, when they fell short of a goal that they had for themselves. It's okay. You can even tell them things like it's okay to be proud of yourself, and it's okay to be disappointed in yourself too. This is normal human development. This helps them to develop true self esteem, not ego inflation. Be that mirror that sees your kids even when their feelings are negative. Help them, support them, validate them through the negative, not just the positive. Number two, encourage internal validation. You see, narcissism thrives on external validation. This is things like, likes on social media, praise, admiration. Narcissism thrives on that. But you can break this pattern by helping your kids to tune into their internal validation, their internal compass. Ask things like, when they've been successful with something, maybe they scored a goal in the soccer game. Ask them things like, how did that feel to you? Maybe when they got a really strong grade on a math test or something, how did that feel to you? Help them to tune into their own feelings of this positive support that they get from inside of them when they do well, not just in the admiration that they get from the narcissistic parent. Well, now it means mom or dad will be proud of me. Okay, that's fine, but help them to tune into how they feel when they do well. Same thing when they do bad. If they do poorly on a test, or they do poorly in a soccer game, or they're not living up to a goal that they've set for themselves, ask them, okay, how does this feel to you? Give them that safe space to voice. Yeah, I'm frustrated, I'm discouraged, or even if they just say it feels bad or it feels ugly or I don't like it, any of these things, give them that space. Ask them things like, hey, what are you the most proud of? Or ask them things like, what are you the most disappointed in of yourself? Help them to be their own internal compass. You can ask, what do you think is the right thing to do? Okay, in a given situation. What do you think? Not what does mom or dad think, or your brother or your sister or your friend. What do you think? This encourages self reflection over performance. It values integrity over image. Number three, let them experience discomfort with support. It is hard to let our kids go through their negative feelings, but it's their negative feelings and they need to experience them, but they need your support along the way. Narcissistic parents often shame kids for their negative feelings. They shame them for being upset about something, or they shame them for feeling their own failure and their disappointment. They shame them for being vulnerable. And that's why it's so important to let your children experience emotional discomfort without rushing in to rescue them, or rushing in. When you rush in to rescue them, you also can be communicating that these feelings are wrong or these feelings are bad. Goes into that internal shaming that we don't want that cycle to happen in our kids. Instead, let them fail sometimes. Let them experience failure and disappointment. Let them be bored. Let them wrestle with these negative feelings. But stay close. Stay close to them. Be the support for them. You might say things like, hey, I know that didn't go how you wanted. I'm here to talk about it if you want. It's okay. Or it's okay to feel embarrassed. You're really not alone in that. Lots of people do. Now, kids don't want necessarily all the examples of all the different ways you've been embarrassed, okay? Kids just don't want that. But let them know they're not alone and then talk about how they're feeling. Let them express it. Where do you feel this in your body? Does it make your stomach upset? Is it giving you, does it make your head hurt? Where are you feeling this? Give them the safety to be able to talk about it. And this balance, discomfort, the kid's discomfort, with connection to you, this is what builds emotional resilience, not emotional avoidance. Narcissistic development, narcissistic personality, narcissistic traits, this is emotional avoidance, okay? You don't want that for your kids. Help them to build emotional resilience. Number 4, model accountability without shame. Narcissism avoids accountability. We know that. We've all talked about that. I've talked about it on the podcast. Everybody in my group and individual sessions, they all talk about this. They avoid accountability. But growth embraces accountability. And that's what we want for our kids. So when you mess up as a parent, and you will, we all do, name it. Tell your kids, hey, I overreacted earlier, and I'm sorry. That's not the kind of parent I want to be. Let your kids see you own that. Let them see you be vulnerable and accountable. Tell them things like, I didn't listen very well just now, and I'm really sorry. Can you tell me that again? This teaches your kids that being wrong does not mean being unworthy. They don't have to hide their mistakes. They don't have to double down in denial. Repair is possible and repair is powerful. And these are the lessons you want to model for your kids. So you cannot erase their genetics, okay, the nature that they're born with. You cannot control their environment completely. You can't control every influence that's in their life. So you can't control the nature or the nurture. But you can create an environment for them that supports emotional growth, not narcissistic defense mechanisms. So if you are co-parenting with a covert narcissist, or if your kids were exposed to one in their past, this is hard. This is tough to do. You are trying to undo messages that they absorbed from this narcissistic parent. You may see your child picking up some of those toxic behaviors, some of the coping mechanisms, the narcissistic defenses. These are things like avoiding responsibility, playing the victim, manipulating for attention, mimicking the gaslighting or the emotional stonewalling that they witnessed. Listen to me. Don't panic. Number 1, don't panic. Number 2, don't shame them. Instead, meet those moments with clarity, with boundaries, and with empathy. Tell them things like, hey, in this house, we don't ignore each other when we're upset. We talk through it. We lean in and we lean on each other. Tell them things like it's okay to feel disappointed, but lying to get your way around it is not the way we handle it. Tell them things like, hey, you're allowed to be mad at me, okay? And that's fine. Kids need to know you're allowed to be mad at me, but you're not allowed to be mean. The key is consistency, boundaries plus love, truth plus empathy, firmness plus softness. This is what changes a child's relational blueprint. The long game is what you're after, modeling what you want them to learn. Ultimately, your healing becomes their safety. They are watching. They're watching when you set boundaries with difficult people. They're watching when you say no without feeling guilty. They are watching when you own your own mistakes and come back to make repair. They are watching when you prioritize self-respect over people-pleasing. Your kids will learn more from what you live than from what you say. So ask yourself, what do I want them to believe about love, about conflict, about themselves? And then as best as you can, Start living that truth out loud. Imperfectly, yes. Please don't try to pursue being perfect. That doesn't work and will only push this whole environment into the very thing you are fighting against. Okay? Do this imperfectly, but do it honestly and do it genuinely and do it with love and care. You did not create the system of dysfunction that is going on, but you do get to decide what continues through you and what ends with you. No, you cannot protect your children from every hurt. Even if we could, it's not what they need. But you can teach them how to recognize harm, how to recognize hurt, how to stay rooted in who they are, and how to find their way back to stable ground, to wholeness if they ever get lost. If you are navigating parenting in the aftermath of narcissistic abuse, whether you're co-parenting with a narcissist or healing your own childhood wounds, you don't have to figure this out alone. My coaching programs are here to support you, and this will create you are working on creating a new legacy for you and your family and your kids. We are breaking generational curses, generational cycles. You can learn more at my website, covertnarcissism.com. If this episode helps you, please send it to a friend that needs to hear it. There are others out there who are living this, whether they dealt with it in their childhood or they're dealing with it in their current households. Leave a review here. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another episode like this one. Your healing matters. And your kids are watching you rise. They see you. They might not acknowledge it, but they're watching. This is the legacy you are creating. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism podcast, where we break apart the insidious nature of these incredibly destructive and frustrating to the ends of the earth individuals. If you are struggling with the isolation, overwhelming self-doubt, and obsessive ruminating, you are not alone. I offer live, personalized coaching that is specific for you. This coaching can be individual or group sessions, or a combination of the two. You can find all the information at covertnarcissism.com. Reach out anytime. My email address is Renee, RENEE, at covertnarcissism.com. And remember, I am not a therapist and you are not a victim, but I am a coach and you are a survivor. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a health care provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those she has talked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support any allegation or claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.